Today we're going over the most recent game coming from Super Trick and Gung Ho, Let It Die Inferno. So, starting off, absolutely loved the original Let It Die. Didn't care much for Deathverse, gave it a try anyway. I don't see myself as a guru or anything like that for this franchise. I just put in my 2 cents about the demo release as well as the upcoming release of the game in December. As of last time I played Let It Die or Deathverse, I have about 1,100 hours in Let It Die and just shy of 55 in Deathverse. Sort of shows the vast difference in how much I enjoyed each game. I'll be honest in saying I hated Deathverse for strictly PvP with minimal PvE, and I do take into account that there were NPCs, enemies, or mobs that you could beat on in the arenas. With Let It Die being so niche as it is, and next to zero advertisement for Deathverse, I expected the game to flop, which it did after not even, half a year. After some sounds from the devs for Deathverse, sort of expected everything to just, shut down. That'd be the next thing we'd hear is a studio announcement for shutdown for them. But then, just yesterday, I got this email showing that Let It Die Inferno came out. At first thing to catch my eye was the $25 price tag, considering that Let It Die was free. Same for Deathverse. But there was at least a demo, thus I rushed off to Steam and got to downloading the damn thing. After a bit of waiting, I got to the joy of being absolutely disappointed. So join me as I point out what I think is bad about the game and try to find any good in it. Starting off, we'll get into the gameplay. So with gameplay, I'll be frank and tell you guys I only played about 4 matches, coming out to a grand total of nearly 80 minutes. Gameplay loop, it's really fucking boring, even compared to Deathverse standards, which even then with Deathverse it was a lot of time wasted waiting for matches to actually even fill up. You launch, you beat up on yummies, collect splithium, gather weapons and armor as you're going along, and try to figure out where the fuck extraction is. Every one of my 4 matches pretty much just ended up dying because I could not find the extraction. I would see the little things pop up saying drop pod in so-and-so zone, and then drop pod in other zone. I'm like, okay, maybe I missed the drop pods in the first zone, so I'll move on to the second zone, get to the second zone, still not be able to find the fucking drop pods because they're not showing on the map. It is a frustrating experience. In comparison to Let It Die, where it could be confusing to start off, it didn't feel as annoying to play the game. Let It Die was more like explore and have fun and gather up these goodies and find the next escalator. Or if you had the express pass, you'd use an elevator to get back to the lobby, or you suffered a death, go back, hopefully have enough to get another body, and go back into the tower to find your old body, take it out, and take it back, and have it sent back home. Then just go from there. This is just you're launched into this hellhole, and then you do roughly the same idea where you're gathering goodies and you're beating up on things, and then next thing you know, you're seeing prompts for getting to the drop pod with no fucking idea how to get to the drop pod. Just that you hit that 500 splithium limit, and now you need to try to figure a way out, which all 4 of the times I spent so much time trying to find the drop pods that my 4th attempt I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to attack anything, I'm not going to do anything other than run around and try to find this stupid drop pod. And I ended up dying to I think it was just a humanoid enemy, not even a player enemy, I think it was just a humanoid enemy. While trying to just run around and find this stupid drop pods. I do understand that you can crouch and it'd give like a little very, very primitive navigation thing, but that was next to useless other than showing, okay, there's a green wave over here or a blue wave over here or a red wave over here. What the hell do these mean other than take a moment to look at the tutorial, which you can't because you're in the middle of a PvP VE situation. So yeah, it's a very annoying thing to deal with for my first hour roughly playing the game. And then in Deathverse, there was no worry about extractions. You just go in, you fight, and win, or you die. And that's very, very simple. I don't like battle royales, but that one basically was, very simple premise. Don't have to stress myself out about finding this thing that came out of the sky or whatever. It has no good indicator on the map. And then you're stuck with, dying again and losing all the stuff that you just took the time for. Where was I? Sorry, kiddo bothered me. Hey, okay, so big difference in the gameplays between Let It Die, Deathverse, which, I'll say it's just sort of, Deathverse was like its own thing. It flopped on its ass. It is what it is. At least Deathverse was advertised as Deathverse with the subtitle of Let It Die, whereas this one is Let It Die, subtitle Inferno. A lot of people saw this and probably instantly thought, hell yeah, we got Let It Die 2 now. Then of course download it and start playing the demo, and it's a huge disappointment. Overall, I think the gameplay is just yet another lazy attempt to go with what is popular when that is not what the player base that still keeps Let It Die itself alive want to see. And they don't do any advertising, so why not at least try to pander to the people that care about your game? It just blows my mind that they won't do this. And I say it's a lazy attempt because if you look at the timeline, Deathverse shut down mid-2023. Around that time, extraction shooters were having a bit of a spike. You had Marauders, Zeros, Divert. I think Tarkov and Hunt Showdown had major updates during that time too. So they might have looked at that and saw like, oh, this is really popular now. Maybe if we can spit this out, people will come to it. Well, if people want to do extraction shooters, they'll go to the established extraction shooters. And yeah, Let It Die isn't exactly a shooter game to begin with, but you get the idea. If people want to do an extraction type game where they've got to worry about other players messing with them while they're trying to play and gather these resources, the games are already out there. Let It Die had like its own little flourish compared to like Dark Souls and Demon Souls and like Hollow Knights and other Souls-like games where you go in, you get so far, you'll die, you'll come back, you'll learn something from it, and most of the time it was a learning experience where you'd come back and hopefully you saw some of the moveset of what took you down, or figured out this ambush was here or there and you could be prepared for it. There are some bullshit situations like some goofy French Canadians sending max level haters to like floors 1 through 10. But no, it was like first they put out Deathverse trying to fluff the nuts of Fortnite and COD and other games like that with battle royales and failed completely. And then they did the next dumbest thing, which is ignore their fan base a second time, because co-op has been requested constantly from the original Let It Die community, along with other things like actually putting in elevators past floor 100 and other shit. Last I played Let It Die, they didn't even have an elevator at floor 100. I heard they added one, but I'm not even really tempted to go back to that game because they just drag their feet too much. They don't drag their feet when they're putting out more microtransactions though. But yeah, whenever Deathverse was still alive, and I was checking discussion boards for that, discussion boards for Let It Die itself, I don't recall anybody in the fan base, like any of the old heads and stuff, that have supported the franchise up to that point, saying, we want this, but in an extraction shooter with minimal story. No, I don't remember seeing that at all. It was a lot of people saying, why didn't you just make a Let It Die 2? If you had to make a battle royale, why tease us and tack on the Let It Die name? And here it is again, they're putting on an extraction shooter instead of a roguelite tower climbing thing, or in this case we're going into the Hellgate or Hellhole or whatever the fuck it is. Instead of going up, we're going down, which it doesn't even feel like we're going down. We're not. I think part of what people really liked about Let It Die was the progression. Once you got to that floor 10 and you beat that boss, then you got to take that the escalator to floor 11, and it's like, no, okay, I'm all done with that faction. Now to learn this new faction and start collecting blueprints for that area and getting the new materials from that area and things like that. It's like, so far in the demo, from what I've seen, no new materials. I've read that there's like supposed to be blueprints in the game, but that's not accessible from what I've read on the discussion boards in the demo. Do I really have to drop $25 US to even see if they have a blueprint system set up yet or no? You know, it's not even labeled as early access. It's just a pre-order. I'm pulling up the Steam page right now, just double check that I'm not talking out my ass. Yeah, it's just pre-purchase of the game. It's not early access. The new, like, I will say, the maps look cool. The weapons feel like Let It Die weapons. Same for the armor. The new hub, the Iron Perch, feels like it's an interesting take from, you know, starting from the bottom of the barrel in the lobby for the Tower of Barbs and working your way up. Instead, you're going from up in the sky from Iron Perch down to this hellhole, and then you're trying to work your way down to find the Eye of the Reaper. And there could be a story there, but it's eaten up by the fact that there's no good feeling of progression there. You go in, you attempt to grab splithium, get a few items, die, because finding extraction is fucking impossible currently, it seems. And then hopefully you got enough splithium to rank up while doing that. So yeah, it's just disappointing to see that it came out like this. And all they had to do was just make Let It Die with co-op. And I remember their devlogs way back near the Deathverse times is like, oh, we'll work on getting co-op out. No fucking co-op currently. It's just PvP. You can make rooms if you drop 50 to 60 US dollars on getting the what is it, deluxe and ultimate editions. So even if you pre-order the game right now, you can get the satisfaction of making your own lobbies to play with any friends who might actually be interested in the game. You've got to roll the dice, or else hope that your friends are also willing to drop. It's $45 to $60 on getting the deluxe and ultimate or the ultimate editions. So yeah, just a bad move coming out of the gate, asking the fan base for money from a franchise that has so far been free. And yes, I could understand there were losses, most definitely, from the previous iteration of Deathverse, but Let It Die itself is still going strong. There was I think there was actually a anniversary maintenance. Oh, nothing major seems happened in the last month or two. There was the EGS 2025 announcement I'm seeing here. The last time I opened Let It Die itself was back in 2022. Yeah, I just got tired of doing the grind and seeing that the developers are just putting out the bare minimum of interaction with the player base. It's like, oh, we're still alive. Here's another microtransaction that you can buy. I do see that there's a major update back in May. What the hell is this even? Neo Milk area. I'm guessing. Yeah, the maintenance for those. Tengoku. I never even got into Tengoku. I played the hell out of the game, but I didn't get to Tengoku because I was obsessed with maxing out my blueprints before starting to go up there. Where I had to go up there to actually get any of the medals that I needed and stuff. But yeah, it's just sort of sad to see. With that griping out of the way, I guess we get to the story. It does seem like there is some story in Inferno, which is a plus. It seems they learned from getting their asses beat during Deathverse. So Inferno, it seems like we're coming back as Senpai from 1, as Uncle Death still refers to us as Senpai in this one during the opening cinematic. And instead of going into the Tower of Barbs, we were literally going into a hellhole to do whatever we're supposed to be doing. Operating from a sky base called the Iron Perch, as I mentioned earlier. We work with a group called the Raiders Association, and our primary enemies are Yatsuyama, which I'll take a moment to say I am happy to see a returning enemy faction from 1. So that was cool. I'll give them big thumbs up for that. It's like, I wouldn't mind seeing that there are other factions involved, but the biggest issue is like, yeah, it's cool to see this returning faction, but they're not the scary ones out there. It's the other players that are out there just pretty much to fuck me over from getting any resources. Why would I care about this Yatsuyama or any of the other factions coming along unless it was one of the 4 horsemen or something? That aside, we've got a supporting cast of Kliko, I think is her name. She's like our receptionist in the Iron Perch. We've got Graham B, which is your stereotypical girl boss grandmother, it seems, that every fucking game has to have anymore. Acting badass, but does very little for actually progressing the story or doing anything useful for the player, honestly. Getting tired of these female characters that could be cool. Awesome design to her, by the way. I fucking love her design. It's just her attitude is just the generic, I'm gonna treat you like disposable trash because I can. We already had enough of that with plenty of other games that flopped on their asses in the last couple years. We also have Zoku, who is our storefront fella, taking place at the Commodores from 1. This one thing that was a bit jarring with the demo is those other 2 characters, and another I'm going to be mentioning soon, are done with English VAs. There's currently no option to switch over to the Japanese VAs for whatever reason. But Zoku is still the Japanese VA, so it's like I was hearing English VAs. Then I go to talk to this guy. It's actually a Japanese VA, which sounds way better than the rest of the cast. It's like why can't I have this, but female? Because the other 3 characters so far have been female. Liko, Granby, and then the next one is Mom. For those that played Let It Die 1, it's one of those floaty brains that you would go to in the lobby before you went up the escalator or elevator to go into the Tower of Barbs that you would use for upgrading your stats and other things like that. In this one, we have one named Mom, which actually converses with us. You do see other random characters here or there that are wearing, some even wear gear from Deathverse, so that's a little nod to that. That's cool. You can also notice a picture of the announcer or whatever the hell he was, the fat dude from Deathverse, and the girl with the gold plating and everything on her arms and stuff. Now you can see a picture of that next to Grand B whenever you first get launched. I didn't take a moment to look at the other images that were like pictures that were up there next to her, but I spotted those 2 right off the bat. You can even see those people's Raider cards. So I don't know if it's taken from other players or else if it's just random characters that they put in there. It seems the story itself's tied to your Raider rank because I didn't get any progression until I went up to rank 2. Some things would unlock as I came back from each thing, but they were usually like, I think the first one was talking to the front desk after I got done with the tutorial, and then another one was opening up a Kazoku, and then in MySpace, which is another thing I'll talk about here later. And then eventually I hit 2 and we got a little bit more story, which, as it seems from what I got to experience throughout a little over an hour of play, just something that angers me, to fucking be honest. First moving along point, we're told, Yatsuyama has crushed most of the Raider Association, so there's only 10 remaining locations for them to operate out of. So, this is something known amongst the Raiders, the group we're part of. And our major enemy is a returning corporate enemy that, is not one that's going to go down easily. And the idea is, fuck everybody else that's part of my group. I'm just going to look out for me. I'm tired of this shit. We could have had a co-op experience in the set. Like, all they have to do is get rid of the PvP aspect of it right now. PvE co-op, where we go in, have team goal for like a 500 or even jack up to 1,000 if it's 2 or 3 people working together, or 4, whatever you want to make the max for a team. Spread out, take out the smaller enemies, gather splithium. If a bigger enemy is found, that's where team communication comes in. Converge on that enemy, take it out, and then I think that would make it easier for finding the extractions whenever you're not worrying about other players coming out to fuck up your day. But you could get caught off guard by a mob or something, and that's on you. If it's another player that's trying to catch you off guard while you're running around trying to find this stupid extraction point, and you're just bypassing all the mobs because you're tired of fighting, you just want to get the hell out of there. The devs too retarded to figure out something that they've been told for almost a decade now. Player base wants a PvE co-op version of Let It Die. It's not hard. Jesus Christ. What you're watching right now, I set up in Unreal Engine. It uses VC Face to track my head movements. I can move the body into different poses using a control rig. I made all the models. If some numbnuts like me can make something like this, it should not be hard for a team of experienced game devs to take something that already worked, get the models imported over to Unreal Engine, which they used for this game, and figure out damn co-op mechanics that they want to use, since connecting to other players has been proven that they know how to do that through Deathverse and this game now. It should not be hard to do that. But getting off my damn soapbox. But yeah, finding that out in the story is a story is just sort of another one of those generic, every man for themselves, blah blah blah. We did this with the Tower of Barbs, and people still wanted to work together for getting up the tower, and they wanted co-op mechanics for doing that. But I think people were understandable if the devs couldn't do that with the engine they were using. But now this is a new engine, one that's built by Epic, Unreal Engine, and the Epic's biggest game is multiplayer Fortnite. As much as I hate the game, I'm not going to ignore the fact that it is a big game. So all the stuff for making a co-op multiplayer game is there. They just need to stop being lazy and actually do it. But overall, I'm hoping the game doesn't flop, but they take the criticism from not just myself, but others, and actually do what has been requested time and time again. It's just the story supports that we should be in a situation where we're trying to work with who we can work with, instead of this bullshit of every man out for themselves thing. I'm tired of that stuff. If I wanted that, I'd go and play Tarkov. So, that aside, we've got the game mechanics. For players, we have this little thing called MySpace, which is an area of Iron Perch. Reminds me of the lobby for Let It Die, or else the rooms for Deathverse. In comparison to Let It Die, I'd say Deathverse and Inferno had more customization compared to Let It Die. Hopefully, they don't decide to microtransaction how other players for trying to actually customize this space. For damn sure, if they're asking for $25 just to play the stupid thing. For the record, the only thing I invested in for Deathverse was the Battle Pass, as far as I recall. I would get the Battle Pass after I maxed everything out. Well, maxed it out just so I know I was getting everything. And that's mainly because it gave us little customizable cosmetic things for either our character, or our weapons, or the room. It was cool in its own way. If they do like a battle pass sort of thing for Inferno, that could work. If they wanted a game to look at and be like, how do we do this properly, that people have liked, look at Deep Rock Galactic. It has PvE, has some like battle pass stuff to it. The players can hurt each other, but that is not the goal of the game, is to try to work together and try not to hurt each other and get these things done. But while at the MySpace, you can access your storage, mail, stats, records, soul brand, emotes, backpack, charm, and interior. Most of those I didn't have access to in the hour that I played the game, well, the demo. Soul branding is sort of like a very bare bones, lackluster gamer card sort of thing. Very few images or icons to work with. Even less color, it seems to work with. So nothing extravagant with that. There are side quests in the game that you get from Gluco, or whatever the hell her name is. And that's an extra way to get kill coins, which make a return also from Let It Die. There's a lot of things coming back from Let It Die itself, like these currencies. Same for death metals. And the one side quest I did get was to hunt 2 of the crab burger thingies. They're sort of hard to see if you're not looking for them while you're trying to look for other players, other mobs. Where the fuck is the extraction? Things like that. You can go to Kazoku, which I mentioned before, with the being our storefront, and you can buy and sell from him. It seems his inventory restocks each time you come back from dropping. There is Mom, who is part of the mastery point system, which, hey, what do you know, we got a skill tree in this one, instead of just put points to get more weight that you can carry. Well, it's still the same thing. You can still put points to increase your carry weight, but there's more of a visual tree to it instead of just numbers. So they did spruce that up some. I'm betting more of it fills out as time goes on. But as I said, I don't feel willing to drop $25 on what could potentially be a flop. And I don't know what their model is going to be for if this does die. Are they going to leave the servers open, or are they going to do the same thing they did with Deathverse, which people invested money into with the battle passes and stuff, and just poof, there's your money gone. It's too risky with what they've shown us in their last attempt. So, wrapping things up, I don't want this game to fail and be as short-lived as Deathverse was. I was very happy seeing the email at first, but then immediately disappointed to see it was Deathverse 2.0 instead of Let It Die 2. I'm probably going to give the game more time if I'm allowed to with the demo. I don't right now see myself dropping any money on this game due to the fact that its previous iteration was too much of a disappointment. So much of a disappointment, it didn't even last a whole year. And this one's already looking like it's on a way down the toilet. And it's not even a funny sort of like jab at or take or anything from what you did with haters that you brought back from invading other players in the past. Because I just remembered that, like, you had them locked up on the toilets. But only things I could probably recommend to the devs for anything constructive in this, try going back to form, but with co-op. If you can't go back to form, or yes, we're not going up in a tower, but we're going down in a hellhole, but we're able to do it with friends. That I think that would probably be what people want more. The reverse idea of Let It Die, where you're going down, you're actually able to work with people and do and have fun with your friends. With how vast and open the internet is now, even if you don't have a whole lot of real life friends, you'd have plenty of people that you'll play with online that you might consider friends. And while the single player can still be fun for some people, it's just a lot of people would like a multiplayer option to Let It Die. I know I had a few friends start playing Let It Die because they saw how much I was playing it, but then they found out there's no co-op to it, so they dropped the game. So that'd be one thing. Like, even if you have to keep the extraction shooter stuff in it, just make it PvE. Drop the PvP aspect to it, please. If we want PvP, then you can use your oh so precious Death Jamboree that you're bringing back into this one for the PvP aspect of it. I don't even care if you even add like specific materials you only get from that to incentivize people to play that mode. Make it an optional thing, not a requirement to deal with whenever you're trying to just have fun in a game. Better navigation. I bitched a good bit about the extraction thing. If I could go to any of those 4 matches that I started off with in that hour of playing and actually have extracted once, I probably would have been happy with how I performed in the game. But not even being able to figure out, oh, this is what it looks like on the map. After playing for almost an hour, that's just bad on the developer's behalf, I'd say. Other than that, maybe the pricing. I understand you guys took some loss from Deathverse, since even though you guys were the ones that fucked up on it, not the fans telling you what they'd like and wanting to make some money with this game release to make it feel like it's worth your while, even though you put out nearly $1,000 worth of DLC on Lid. Yes, it's all optional, I understand, but still there. It's like saying some of the DLC in Payday 2's optional. It's like, if you actually want to make a really good build, no, it's not. But if you do keep the $25 price tag, maybe shy away from your microtransaction bullshit from Let It Die that I know you're trying to go towards, since there are death metals in this game. It's hard to say, oh no, we don't have intention to do microtransactions. Bullshit. You got death metals in there. Anybody that's played Let It Die knows what death metals means. You're pumping out premium currency right there. And it was used for everything from buying cosmetics or other things like spruce up the lobby to make it not look as much like shit as it is to start off with, to even reviving yourself whenever you're out in the tower. So it was used for like a lot of stuff in that game. I think the biggest thing I used it for was just expanding the storage, which is another thing I would love to say. Don't fucking lock up the storage like you did and let it die. I know it could be hard to figure out which pieces you want to, which metals and stuff you want to bring back from the tower whenever you're up there. But even if I was like being as careful as possible, a daily would go off or something, and I would have to get rid of something to take the damn dailies rewards. There was like no way that you weren't going to get overfull, even after you maxed out the storage with death metals and everything like that in that game. Don't cap the storage if possible. You can't even say it's because of the limitations of what your database can handle or whatever. It's like bullshit. I work with databases as part of my normal 9 to 5. Unless you're running on like an Atari 5800 or something, it's like, that's bullshit. But in closing, I wouldn't recommend anybody purchase the game. I'll be flat out honest with that. I might if I go full retard and do it, but that's basically, it's at the end of my list of things that I would like to purchase right now. With Christmas coming up, which bad time to release this game as well, in December of all months. I have a small one to worry about. I would rather make sure he has gifts, make it an enjoyable holiday over putting money in a developer's pocket that doesn't seem to care about what their fan base asks. So yeah, overall, I would say look at the game, 8, 9 out of 10. Matches up with what I expect from a Let It Die game. Mechanics, gameplay itself, more like a 4 or even a 3, since it's just low effort, a lot of copy paste, especially shit from Deathverse over to this one. Not much I can say past that. So probably get done with this, do some editing, and maybe try to give the demo a little bit more time, see if it grows on me. Until next time, thank you guys for your time, and tell me what you think. Bye.